Excellent. Amy says yes. Okay, so welcome to today's session officially. I'm excited about this. I thought I might make it simple for myself and do a really easy thing, and then it's just ended up being bigger than Ben-Hur, but this always happens. Those of you that have been to these webinars before, I get really carried away with ideas. Anyway, so here we go. So welcome to those of you who are new. My name's Katie. I have a business, Midnight Music, and I like to help teachers with technology-related things. I have a couple of boys, you can see there, and my dog Ella, who's lovely and may make an appearance at some point. I have a website with a blog, and there's lots of free information on there and articles that you can read and free resources you can download. I also have a podcast, and I will confess the podcast for a number of reasons has been on the back burner for some time. I'm going to attempt to put out an episode next week and keep that going regularly again. So it's going to be like a relaunch of the podcast. And in the first episode, I will explain why it's ended up on the back burner. But you can join me over there. That would be great. There's back episodes you can listen to in the meantime. Okay, so housekeeping issues. If you do have issues, it's best to just leave the session and come back again. It's almost always to do with some kind of internet thing at your end. There will be a copy of the slides that I'm showing right now provided, and you'll be able to just take notes if you want to during the session, but you'll also get that copy later on. And moderator of the chat is Amy Burns, as was mentioned before, and we will have a Q&A session at the end. So Amy will kind of keep an eye on things and answer things as we go if she knows the answer, or we will perhaps discuss them at the end if it's a popular question too. All right, so about this session, and I'm just going to extend my screen a little bit here. So this is all about the Chrome Music Lab Songmaker specifically. So the Chrome Music Lab, I know that probably most of you have explored this before, is a collection of, I think, 14 different music tools that you can use and experiments, they call them. So today we're just focusing on the Songmaker, which is probably the most popular aspect of the Chrome Music Lab collection, I think. I want to talk today about lots of different lesson ideas, really, and some tips for success. And also I'm going to talk about where to find some bonus resources that you can use to go with the lessons that I'm showing you. So I've divided my 16 plus ideas. There are actually 16 ideas. I've divided these into roughly 6 areas, and they're kind of like groups of lessons which have similar type idea or theme. So the first one is draw to compose. I know this is what a lot of you have probably done with your students. I've got a listen and solve section, transcribing and arranging, something to do with ostinato, which I had to find a word to describe ostinato, and I literally had to Google what's a good adjectives to start, like starting with O, because I needed alliteration for some reason. So it's outstanding, ostinato. I want to talk a little bit about going beyond Songmaker, either using things that like other software programs that will work well with what you're doing in Songmaker with your students. And then lastly, ways that you can share and display your Songmaker creations or your students' creations. So first of all, let's get started with draw to compose. And I've numbered things as we go through here, and you'll notice that I will pop over to Chrome Music Lab Songmaker and actually show you and play you some of these things that I've done. I've created lots of examples for today. Some of them I won't though, because we will not get through 16 if I go through every single one of them, but I will at least talk about the concept for each one. So the first idea, and I think this is what kids naturally want to do when they open up Songmaker, is to draw something. And I'm going to pop over to Songmaker and just run through a few basics while we're here. But I'll just talk briefly about this first project. This is involving drawing something on the Songmaker screen to make some kind of musical composition. So I think it's great to start with this, because I really feel like once you open this up and students want to explore, it's the kind of thing they're just going to naturally do anyway, draw a picture or a word or letters or something like that. It makes a great introductory project. And I want to talk for this one and you'll see, I think for pretty much every one of the 16 lessons that I'm going to go through, I'm going to talk about utilizing templates. And I'll show you why I think that's a really good idea in a moment. For this particular project, using the pentatonic scale works really well. It just means that everything is going to sound good no matter what you do. So let's pop across to Songmaker first of all. And I'm here in the Songmaker screen. So if you haven't ever seen the Songmaker, this is what it looks like. It's really simple. And the simplicity of it, I find very appealing. So there are lots of tech tools out there where you can do all sorts of fancy things. And I feel like probably even me, as someone who uses technology all the time, I use a very tiny percentage of many of the programs that I use on a daily basis. And I'm guessing that a lot of you are in that same boat too. The Songmaker, however, has so few features that you can truly use all of them. So it's a grid essentially, and you can add sounds to your grid by clicking on them and adding notes. So up here, I can click and add a note, and you should hear it as I'm adding it. And down the bottom here, in the very bottom 2 lines, I've got a percussive part. And I can add percussion to my composition. I can come down here and change the tempo. I've got options to change the sounds. And over the right-hand side, I'll talk about this more in a moment, but there are some settings that you can change too. So once you've added some notes, you can hit play. And you can hear your song being played back. So getting started with this, say my name composition, where you're going to draw the letters of your name or maybe your initials. It could be your first name. It could be a couple of names. If someone's name is very short, you might get them to do a first and last name. You can literally drag your mouse to write notes on the screen and create a picture of some sort. So I can make my K like this, and I'm just clicking to add notes, and I'm clicking to remove if I want to as well. Now, I mentioned that I think with this one, Amy's waving at me. Hold on. Sound? Yes, she's saying yeah. Sound is not happening.
It's not happening on your screen. We're hearing you, but we're not hearing anything you're clicking.
Oh, gosh, that's sad, isn't it? Okay.
You might have sourced the sound somewhere.
Let me just see here. I'm just going to hit play.
It's not sounding for us.
That is so weird. That's really tragic. Maybe I'll just try turning this on and off. Chrome on and off. Now, maybe Amy can tell me in a second. Oh, hold on, let me just move that. I'm juggling a few screens here. Can you hear that now?
No.
Okay. All right. We need to solve this. This is not going to be good otherwise. That's the one thing we forgot to check ahead of time, Amy. We always do a sound check and we didn't do it today. Let me think about this.
It's not even coming out of you're hearing the sound, Katie?
I am hearing the sound.
Yeah, we cannot. Can you unplug your headphones? At least then we could hear it through coming back in. I have by unmute in the Google Chrome songbook on the bottom left. Have you not unmuted it?
In the Google,
I'm just reading what Donna said. Yeah, she said, I have by unmuting in the Google Chrome songbook on the bottom left.
I don't see an option to mute or unmute there. In Songmaker on my screen?
That's what Donna is suggesting.
I do not have that option. Hold on. All right, I can see.
Can you share sound through StreamYard?
That's what I am doing.
That is what you're doing? Yeah, we can't hear it at all.
All right, hold on. Let me just check my StreamYard settings though. Camera and mic. I know what it might be. I do know what it might be. Yes, we have the solution.
Oh, yay.
Does that sound better?
We
Hold on.
no.
All right. Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. You're on a different mic now. You're like focused. You're condensed
Hold on.
now.
Okay. What about now? Can you hear me?
Okay, you're
right
back
now?
to the way you sounded before. Yes.
Okay. I think this is going to be. Can you hear this now?
No. Wait. Yes.
Oh, come on.
Yes. Yes. We can hear it. It was just delayed. Yes, we can hear it.
Okay. Awesome. Phew, okay. This is good. This is good. that would have really ruined the entire thing. Thank you. Sorry, everyone. Look, it's great for you to see me have tech issues, right? Okay, so here's what happened. This is me not doing what I always do, which is go through my pre-flight checklist, as I call it. I'm like, no, we're fine. I know what I'm doing. And I did not do the pre-flight checklist of actually selecting the correct source of audio and output. So there we go. All right, we're back now. Let's just forget the last couple of minutes and I'm going to go on. So let me get rid of that and I'm going to open up my next tab here. Okay. Hilarious. Okay, so I've got an empty screen here. So we were talking about creating, this piece of music which might involve students writing their name or drawing some kind of picture. So I'm going to use the name as an example. And in Songmaker here, what I've done is I've set up an empty screen for students to use, which is a slower tempo, and it uses the pentatonic scale as the basis for the notes on the screen. So if I show you the scale here, you can see I've only got pentatonic notes set up on this screen. If I go into settings, so the way I did this was to go into settings and I chose how many bars I wanted this length to be. I chose to change it to a pentatonic scale. So the default set here is usually major scale. So it has all of the notes of the major scale. I also decided to split the beats into 4 instead of into 2, which is the default. And I've got a range of 3 octaves. I've actually made the screen a little bit bigger so that there's more space for them to draw or write on. Now, as a teacher, you can open up Songmaker. You can make all of these changes in an empty Songmaker project, hit the save button, and then I'll just get rid of these, just pretend these weren't there in the first place. So you make all of those settings changes, and then what you can do is send the students the link to this actual setup. So rather than them opening up Songmaker and you saying, okay, go into settings. Now I'm going to get you to change this to pentatonic and change the bars and all those other things I just showed you. Ahead of time, you as a teacher can do this and then actually send them the link to what I call a template. Every student gets the same link and it doesn't matter because what they will do is once they've added something to their composition and they hit save, the link becomes a new unique link to them. So this is a really great way of using Songmaker and just bypassing a lot of fiddling around at the beginning of a lesson. Now you'll notice that I've got my empty template here, but hang on, I can't hit the save button because it's grayed out. What I've discovered is all you need to do is just open up the settings again, hit the tick, and then you should have the option to click on the save button. So then I click on the save button, and then I get a link, and this is the thing that I'll send to my students. So once I'm set up with this, my students get this link, and then we're good to go. I'm going to draw my name here. You can draw your name in any shape. I can add my A. It doesn't matter where on the screen. Because it's pentatonic, it's going to sound good no matter what I do. And then I can hit play and hear my name play back. And it sounds nice. Because it's random, it ends up being a little bit syncopated and so on. So here's one I've prepared earlier. Here's my name. I've gone in and I've added a bass line as well to go with this in the bottom section of the screen. And then I've added a percussion part as well. So if I press play now, you should hear my name composition. And Songmaker will just keep playing that back until I hit stop. So that's how I think what works really well is to send students a template to work with and get them going really fast and creating something that's kind of a bit fun, really easy to do. They don't need to have a lot of music knowledge necessarily to create something that sounds good. Now, once they're done, they're then going to hit that save button. It's grayed out at the moment because I haven't made any changes. I'm just going to do something here. They will hit the save button. And they can copy the link and send that to you or place it somewhere in your school LMS or Google Classroom, whatever you're using, and send that to you so that you have a record of what they've done there. So that's the first one. That's Say My Name. I'm going to close tabs as I go because I've got about 7 million open here. And I'm slightly worried about this. All right, so let me go back to my keynote presentation. All right. So we've drawn the word or the picture, great introductory project for the students. And I've just put the settings in here that I recommended that I actually showed you before. One thing I will say about using templates, so here's a really big benefit of using templates with students is that you will know already if you've used Songmaker with your students before that when you open it up, it's always set to 120 beats per minute. The default instrument is always the marimba. It's always in 4/4 and there's always 4 bars. Now, unless you really encourage your students to make changes to what's there, you're going to end up with 26 compositions that all sound like a marimba that are all at 120 beats per minute and are all in C major. And sending a template can actually vary that a little bit. So it can encourage them to use different tempo, different instruments and so on. All right, so that's just a refresh, and this is useful for when you get a copy of the slides, refresh of what the students will do when they've finished it. Instead of copying and saving a link to their project, they can actually download a WAV file as well. And I'm going to talk a little bit about more options for saving work later on. Okay, so next area of songs, this is to do with what I've called Listen and Solve. And this is a series of lessons which involve mystery songs in Chrome Music Lab, which students are going to kind of like solve or work out and then finish off or create themselves. So mystery song number 1, so lesson idea here is to work out what the song is that you're going to send them. You're going to send them a partially made song in Chrome Music Lab Songmaker. You'll send them the link. You're not going to tell them what it is. They're going to identify the song and then finish it off. And then lastly, they can add some percussion, change the instruments and so on. So let's head back over to Songmaker, and I've got one here. You can probably see at the top what the name of this is, but if I hit play, have a listen. Now, hopefully some of you will recognise that as the Wellerman, which has been really popular on TikTok and so on. Lots of people have done it at schools, singing and playing the Wellerman song. So you could send them something like this. You'll notice that I had the first half of the song only. So here it is again. And you can then ask the students to complete the rest of the song. Now, one of the reasons I chose the Wellerman is because the next part of the song is actually very similar to the first part. So students can actually kind of replicate what's happening in the first half here and then finish off that second phrase, which is a little bit different. So here's one I've prepared earlier, and this is the full melody here. So really good for students to have something to work with, first of all, I think, because it can be a little bit daunting when you open up Songmaker and someone says to you, let's make this song. There's actually quite a lot that goes into it. The students need to know what time signature they're using. They need to know how to replicate the rhythm. And for that, they need to know how many sounds each beat is broken up into. It's a fantastic exercise, a fantastic transcription exercise. And I have to say, this is how most of my oral skills were developed when I was young, was by transcribing music. And I was handwriting on manuscript paper at the time because there were no computerized notation programs or anything. But it's a really great project, again, for students to do. Now, I've chosen the Wellman. This would be great for middle school or high school, but of course, if you're working with young students, it could be something really simple like Seesaw, the Seesaw song. It's only got 2 notes, and you might just give the students a little prompt at the beginning, and then they're going to finish that off. So once students have completed the melody, then the next stage after that, as with everything, is they could add a percussion part at the bottom. They could add some extra harmony notes, and it starts to look complex on the screen here. But when you listen to it, it sounds really good in Chrome Music Lab Songmaker. So that might be beyond some students, but that's okay. If they've got even just the melody completed, they can just add some percussion part. Next stage might be that they add some bass line, and then if they're okay and understanding of harmony parts, they can add some harmony notes in there too. So this is applicable for any song that you've been doing repertoire-wise with your students in class. If you're doing band orchestra chorus, it could be a section, a very small section of a piece you've been working on. Maybe you choose to put in some of the melody. The students are going to complete that there. All right, so let's go on to another mystery song here. Just going to move these tabs so they don't keep popping up here. All right, so our next one is to do with, hold on, let me just go back, I've missed one. Oh yeah, extension, just going back to that previous one, students that are recreating songs that they know, other extension activities that you might want to do are to print out the score, as in print out the screen of Songmaker, get the students to write the note names on, and then take it to a performance place. So play it back on boom whackers, or use a virtual xylophone, which I'll show you a little bit later on. Other instruments that they might have, they might work out how to play it on their flute and so on. So I love combining technology with some kind of performance, one then the other, or working out notation as well. All right, so mystery song number 2, this one involves colours. And I was thinking it's so great to take advantage of the colours that appear on the Songmaker screen. The colours they've chosen for each of the notes match up with the same colour system that are used by boomwhackers and by lots and lots of other software and so on. It's kind of, I think it has a name, that colour system, as it applies to musical notes. So the idea here is that you provide a puzzle for the students, a series of coloured dots, and this is going to actually replicate a song. It's going to make a song. If they perform the coloured dots, they can work out what the song is. And you might have some notes missing from the end of the song as well, just to make it a little bit more difficult for the students. This idea could be something, it's like a puzzle that they can solve, and I was thinking it would be great to work as part of an escape room set of puzzles. So I know a lot of you were doing escape rooms last year, particularly in lockdown, but this could be an option for that. So what they'll do is get the colour puzzle, and they're going to play the colours using some kind of instrument that replicates these colours that are used in Songmaker. So if you've got boomwhackers, this would work really well. They could play this back on boomwhackers and decode what the song is. The other option, if you don't have boomwhackers, or if you want to work with more technology options, is to use the Play Sprout Xylo. So this is an online xylophone, virtual xylophone, and again, the colours match up with Songmaker. So they can play it through, work out what the song is, and then recreate it in Songmaker. So here's my example here. This is my colour puzzle, and it's literally just a series of coloured dots. So I chose to use the same colours that that appear in Songmaker. And I wonder if any of you can work this out actually. Red is C and green is G. So there we go from there. If you can work it out. Who's going to type in the chat window? I want to see if anyone knows. Amy can tell me thumbs up if anyone gets it. It's the last part of the song is missing, but, you know, it's most of it there. It's about 2/3 of the song there. It's something that everybody knows. Yep, Amy's got thumbs up. All right, I'm going to head across to Songmaker. Okay, so we've got our mystery colour song. So there it was there. And basically, once they've worked this out, they're going to, well, to work it out, they're going to play it. Twinkle, twinkle. I saw it typed in the, in the YouTube chat window there. Well done. I'm just going to open up my xylophone here. So here I've got the play sprout silo. So they'll do something like this. They've got the dots here on the screen. They can open up another window showing play sprout silo, and we can play the notes here. Green, purple. And I can use the numbers on my computer keyboard to play the notes too, which is easier. And hopefully by now they've gone, yes, okay, it's twinkle, twinkle, last bit's missing, but that's okay. Then they can go across to Songmaker and recreate the colours and hopefully get the rhythm correct as well. That's the little challenge here. And recreate this song in Songmaker. I won't show you the end result because it's twinkle, twinkle. You'll know how to work that out in Songmaker yourself. I will just say about the play sprout silo. I know lots of you have used this before. There is an option. By default, it does not have the exact boomwhacker colours, but in view options here, you can turn them on. Now, if you go in here as a teacher, turn on the boomwhacker colours, and then hit share, you can copy a link to the Play Sprout Xylo set up with the boomwhacker colours already for your students. So, and I've just seen that Daniel's made the comment that my colours did not match. So there you go. Yep. So Daniel, you can come in here, turn it on in view options. And if you hit copy link, this is what I would do, is copy the link to this setup. And then when you send this to the students, say, click here to open up Play Sprout Xylo, and it will already be set up with the boomwhacker colours. So that works really, really well. Great fun. And then they're going to go across to Songmaker and recreate the song there. I hope you like that one. As I was thinking of things, I was kind of getting all excited and, you know, there's no one to share it at home with but the dog. But anyway, okay, I won't show you this again in Songmaker, but I'm going to just talk this through. In a similar fashion, you can also use numbers to provide a puzzle for your students. So again, you're going to provide a series of numbers this time. The numbers obviously represent each of the notes in the Chrome Music Lab. And the students, again, are going to work out what is the song just from the numbers. Now, they need to do a little bit of decoding here. And this is like a puzzle with 2 or 3 layers. So again, this is a great option for including in something like an escape room or just a sort of a puzzle that students are going to do in class. And then after this, they're going to, again, recreate the song in Songmaker. So here's a thing that I set up. I again, got carried away. I thought I'll just talk about this idea. And then I thought, oh, maybe I'll just set this up. So what I've done today with all of the lessons is I've set up some things for the members of my Midnight Music community. I'm going to give you some bonus resources. So if you're a member, after the webinar has run today, probably within 24 hours or so, you'll find that there are some other resources that you can log into the community and find these here. So there is an example of this one here where students are going to complete the key first of all. So here we've got some colours, they've got some, they're numbered across the top here, each of the notes, and they're going to need to work out which note is number 1, which is number 2, 3, 4, and so on. So I've given them 1 as an example here. Then they can go across to the second part of this puzzle, and the series of numbers across the top here is a melody. Now, I'll give it away. Again, it's Twinkle Twinkle. I just chose it again to keep things simple. But I've put the numbers here for Twinkle Twinkle. So what the students can then do is, in this grid, is fill in the relevant colours that match with the numbers and also pop the note name in there so they've got a quick reference. So there's 2 lines here, and again, it's Twinkle Twinkle. It's again incomplete, but they're going to hopefully work out that that's what the song is. Then they can go across to Songmaker and complete the song. So obviously, if you've done the colours one that we just talked about here, this one, Solving the Mystery Song with Colours, I'd be choosing a different song for this one, but you get the idea. You can really apply this to any song that you've been doing with your students. And if you're working with young students, you can keep this really simple. It might just be a song which has, you know, maybe 8 notes in total, and they can again still do the same type of activity. Older students make it more complex. Maybe, it could be the Wellerman here or something else. So that's the numbers mystery song. So let's go on to transcribing and arranging options here. And you'll notice that a lot of these lessons are along the same vein or in the same vein, use some of the same ideas. So taking a theme that you've been studying perhaps with students, or again playing in band, orchestra and chorus, maybe the students are going to do a bit more work with this one, but actually complete the theme or the song that you've been working on. Now, last year, I think it was last year, I did set up something which is on my blog, and you can go there and download all of these resources. We've put a link in the Wakelet collection there. But the one that I did as an example was Star Wars, the Star Wars theme in time for May the 4th. And this is a great one to tie in with a unit of work. So it doesn't have to be Star Wars. Maybe you're doing the Nutcracker at the moment. Maybe you'll choose to do that. But again, if you provide them with some kind of template to work with, they're going to then fill in the rest of the theme that you've been studying. Now, when I did the Star Wars one, what I ended up doing was taking the Star Wars main theme, and I actually created multiple levels of this kind of puzzle that they're going to figure out. So the very first level is that they get the entire theme, and my thought here was this for younger students. They may not be so capable of working out how to fill in missing notes, but they can take the theme and just complete a percussion part for it. So it can be as simple as that, and then they end up with the theme plus percussion. We're going up from there. If your students are a bit more capable, you might provide them with the theme, but leave out some of the notes, and then they're going to fill that in. Maybe you'll provide nothing at all. Just say to the students, here's the tempo, here's the key, here's the number of bars, and so on. The students may need to work all of that out for themselves. So you can really customize this. So the Star Wars one, I'll head across to Songmaker and just show you a couple of the versions. But if you download this from my blog, this is you'll get basically a whole Google Slides document or a PDF version if you want to. And it's got lots of links. The templates are already set up for you, and you can choose which ones to use with your students, which level you're going to use. All right, let me go across to Songmaker. I've put this slide in here to remind me when I'm going across to Songmaker. So here we go. So I'm again in Songmaker here, and this is one of the lower levels where there's some of the theme provided, but not everything. So this is what it sounds like. Now you'll notice there's a missing section there, but I did pop the last note in just so that the students would know whether they were on track or not, filling in the missing notes. So that could be one level that you provide for students. Here's a sort of a more filled out one, and this is, where you can go to with this Star Wars idea. I've got the theme here, and in one of the upper levels that I've suggested, sort of the more difficult level, is that students go on to fill out the whole theme, then they add a bass line, and then they also add some harmony parts as well. So this is actually my finished version here. This is not the template for the students, but this is the example of the finished version. So that, again, it works really nice. It's a really good one to recreate in Songmaker, I have to say. Someone then said we need the Imperial theme, so I think I've concluded that one as well. Not with lots of levels, but there's an example of some of it there. And then someone also challenged me to do the Cantina theme, which I also did, Cantina band theme, which I love in Star Wars. So that's a great one, again, to use with anything that you're really studying. You can adapt this to, to any level. Again, if it's younger students, you're going to keep it really, really simple and maybe provide them with more, and then they're going to fill in just a little bit. Even adding the last note can be a useful thing. I remember in ear training tests that I had to do when I was growing up, one of the ear training tests in our music exams here in Australia is that the examiner will play you a phrase and you just have to sing the last note or the last couple of notes in the phrase. So in my mind, it's similar to that. All right, so next one after this, let's have a look. We're back to round and round. So again, this is again based on something that you've been doing with students. So let's say you've been singing around with them in class time or playing around on instruments, then they can then create this in Songmaker and then actually add the second voice. So actually the melody will be written out once, and then they're going to add the melody at the right time that it comes in the round. I'm going to show you what this looks like. I've done an example here with Viva la Musica. And I've got this one here. So here's just the melody. So as a teacher, you could provide a template with the melody already in there, and then the students are just going to create the second voice. So they're going to basically add the notes of where the second voice comes in. Now, this is not totally easy, I'm going to say. And if you were working with younger students or less experienced students, you want to keep it a really simple round. And I'll show you why, because when you see the two voices together, it kind of looks confusing on the screen, but it sounds great. So here's just the voice, the first voice on its own. So that's the voice on its own. So either students, you might get them to create that themselves from scratch, or maybe you provide that much for them. And then they're going to come in and add the second voice. So here's my first voice starting off. You can see that there. It continues on, and I actually added the second voice in the same octave, and they end up kind of crossing over. It looks confusing, right? But when you hear it back, it sounds really good. Okay, so that's got the three voices. I forgot I had the three voice version there. So 3 voices in total. Again, it's a great exercise just to kind of work out, would probably make a good group exercise, students working maybe in pairs to decode where that second voice is going to come in and how they're going to make it happen there. So that's using rounds. All right, next idea. This one's all about cover songs, and to be honest, you can see quite a lot of this on YouTube in Songmaker. So this is where students are going to take a pop song that they know, and my suggestion is just to use one section only. It could be the chorus or even half of the chorus. It could be the first bit of the verse. Sometimes even the opening of a song, like the introduction, works really well for this purpose. And if you want a little bit of inspiration, some of you might know those TikTok harmony builders where someone will sing through all of the parts of just a really small section of a song on TikTok and build them up from the bottom upwards. That amount of music, or even the examples that they use for that challenge, would work really well for this type of project. So one section only. They can work out again the melody and add a bass line and percussion after that, if they're as an extension or as part of the project. Now, I've put warning YouTube channels at the bottom, and the reason is that I was doing this and I was putting together, I thought, oh, what song will I do as an example? And I chose Iko Iko because it's, again, there's a resurgence with Iko Iko, again, because of TikTok. It's being used as a sound on TikTok a lot. So it's one of those songs that students know. It's quite good, like lyrics-wise, it's clean, it's good to use, and musically it worked quite well too. So I chose that one. Now, I went to YouTube for something, and I think YouTube was probably feeding me up Chrome Music Lab videos because it knew that I was doing that at the moment, because, you know, YouTube reads your mind. And there is there's more than one YouTube channel of people who make pop songs in Songmaker and then show you how to recreate it yourself by saying things like, put a red square here, skip 2 spots in Songmaker and put a yellow square, and then skip 1 and put orange, and then skip 2. So what they're doing is showing you how to make the pattern of notes to create a song that you know. And there are lots of famous pop songs being used in these videos. And in the comments underneath the videos, I was having a little giggle because in the comments under the video, there's a lot of students writing things like, oh, thank goodness you've done this. I need to do a music assignment and you've just saved me. So the students, I hate to break it to you, but the students are not necessarily working it out for themselves musically. They are literally copying what's visually on the screen of a YouTube video. So if you do this with your Year 9 class and you want to make sure that they're doing their own work, personally, I would send them a template that's in a different key to the one in the YouTube video, because that will throw a little spanner in the works. Amy's just done it. Oh, that's a good idea. I know I mean. I was talking to my 14-year-old about this. I'm like, oh my gosh, all these students are basically cheating on their music assignment. And I said, I think I'm going to suggest to the teachers how they can work around this. And he's like, Mum, you can't do that. Let them do it. You're so mean. So, anyway, he's one of those ones who would probably go do it, even though he's capable himself. So anyway, if you're setting this assignment, just be warned that that is going on, and maybe choose a song that you have not seen replicated already in a YouTube video with an instructional that your students are going to use. All right, let me close off Viva La Musica and we'll open up Ico. Ico. So Ico, again, now this is my completed version example here. All I did was I put the melody alone in first. So that was all I had to start with. And then I just added a percussion part at the bottom. And then I added a bass line. And then I thought, you know what? Why not add some chords as well? So it was very much a progression. I'm not suggesting that your students are going to instantly come up with this, but you can start with a simple melody line first, and then they're going to add the other parts in. Now, again, I went in and I made sure that I was not on 120 beats per minute. This is quite a relaxed tempo, this one. Went in and changed the sounds as well, so that not everything is just that marimba sound as the default. And that's all it is. I just did the first little part of the song. It's not for very much of it's not the whole verse or anything. It's just, 4 bars or so. So I think this one works really well. Students really do enjoy making songs that they know. If you do watch some of those tutorial videos on YouTube, there are lots of views on these videos. Everybody wants to know how to create the latest Dua Lipa song or Bruno Mars or whatever it is. So I think it's a really good project. And again, the ideas are not totally different from all the other projects I've suggested, but framing it in this way and using it as a, as a cover song, I think can work really well. Okay, so I won't demo this live because I have a feeling it's just going to go wrong. I think it'd be too much living on the tech edge. But I just wanted to show you that, or point out, because I don't think a lot of people really notice it. There's an option for you to click a microphone and sing or play a note, which then gets entered into Songmaker. And I have to say, I've seen it there and I haven't really played with it until like last week, and it works really well. So I think this would be just a little challenge for students, because obviously if you want them to try and enter notes by singing or playing, they need to play in tune. And so this can be like a fun challenge for them. Can they make Mary Had a Little Lamb just by singing or playing notes into Songmaker? So I'm going to show you what this looks like. I've just got a screenshot here. So the first one up the top here, basically you'll click on this microphone option and this will appear. It says sing into your mic to add notes. Now down the bottom here, basically you will be on the first beat of the very first bar to start with. This blue line indicates where you're up to for inputting notes into Songmaker. And you'll see that little microphone icon. It's saying sing a note, and it's going to appear in this spot in your Songmaker composition. So once you sing or play the note, it identifies it. It kind of hovers around a little bit and then pops it in there for you. And then you can use your computer keyboard arrow key to move on to the next beat in the bar or the next division of the beat. And then the microphone icon will move along with you. You'll sing the next note and then keep moving along. So if you want to skip, you know, you want to skip one of the beats and put a note here and not right next to the previous one, you can do that by using the arrow keys on your computer keyboard. So what I would do for this one is maybe say to students, okay, we're going to do Mary Had a Little Lamb. You're going to input the notes by singing, and you'll need to give them a note to base, you know, their pitch on, like work out what key they're in and so on. And then they can get going and try and put the notes in. So I think it's a lot of fun. It might be intimidating for some, especially the singing side of it. So maybe playing could be a good option if you've got students that are playing instruments in your class. All right, so that was just a quick one just to say that that is an option there that's often overlooked, I think. Let's talk about some ostinati options here. So a few projects using ostinati, I should say. Okay, so first one, sometimes it can be really good just to use the rhythmic part of Songmaker. You don't have to use all the notes all the time. So this project just involves rhythms. I've called it tabletop rhythms because I was at home using my desktop to pat on the table like that, and then clap was the other sound. So in Songmaker, there are 2 percussion sounds that you get to work with, and maybe you call it a low sound on the table, and clapping being a higher sound. So before you even get to Songmaker, of course, you've spent time in class talking about ostinati and what that is, and it's a rhythmic pattern or a melodic pattern that is repeated. And I think working in pairs works quite well with this one. Students can work in pairs to make a 2-bar rhythmic ostinato. So let's start really simple, just 2 bars. So they can come up with some kind of pattern, and then they can recreate this in Songmaker. Now, again, I've got an extra bonus resource for members of Midnight Music Community. I ended up deciding it would be really kind of cool if after they've made their rhythm, they've worked this out and performed it, I think it would be really good if they physically analog notate it in some way. So they write down in a grid how to perform that rhythm. And you can use any grid really, like a 2-bar rhythmic ostinato for Songmaker. You can just get a table or graph paper and get them to draw a grid out and put the notes where they think they're going to fall, and make sure that when they put it into Songmaker, that does it sound the way that they wanted it to sound. So I ended up, just for the members of the community, I ended up making an extra resource which looks like this. So this is what I've called a planning template. This was the first version of it. You'll see in a moment I've got more complex versions as well. But I thought it would be really good to have a little screenshot of the Songmaker percussion lines here. So students can print this out. This can be a worksheet. You can do it digitally or print it out. But I've added, okay, so my table sound is at the bottom. My clap sound is at the top, and I've put dots, and students could obviously draw a dot of some sort here. I've put dots where the sounds are going to be to create this rhythm. So then I can take this planning template, then open up Songmaker, and then recreate the rhythm in there based on what I've written down on my worksheet here. So in Songmaker, it's going to look something like this. And again, I won't play this one for you, but this is the sort of the replica version of what they've written out in their worksheet. So I really like this idea of maybe doing something away from the computer screen first. Again, there's a bit of performance there. They're actually writing the rhythm, and then they're taking it over to Songmaker to create it there. So next ostinato lesson idea is actually an extension of this one. So same 2 students perhaps working together, they've done their tabletop rhythm, they've put it into Songmaker, they've saved the link, and then the next time they can open up the link, and I've called this one Pass Me the Bass because every project has to have some kind of name to it. The idea here is that we've got 2 bars, and I thought it would be really nice if one student composes a bass line to go over the top of their rhythm, and they just use the first bar. Now, you can use Songmaker for collaborative composing, because what you can do is student A makes their bass line, they save the link, then they can send that link to student B. Student B opens the link up, the bass line is there, their percussion part's already there, and then they can add their part in the second bar. Then they're going to save that link, and that's going to capture everything that those 2 students have done, and that gets sent to the teacher or put somewhere as their assessment. So really good to think of Songmaker as a collaborative tool. It's not quite the same as everybody logs into a Google Doc and writes into the same thing. You really need to remember to click save and capture the link at any time where there's been changes made. And it's a new link at that point. It's not the same link with new information in the Songmaker project. It's a new link. So you need to just make sure to save each one. But again, that works really well. So here's a screenshot of what that might look like. Student A has composed this part here, and then student B has added another part over here. All right, so next ostinato idea is to do with colours again. Now, I was trying this out, and in my mind it worked really simply and easily, and then it ended up being a lot more complex, and I spent so much time playing with this. It was ridiculous for such a simple lesson idea. I think it does work well though. Now I've solved a few things. So the idea here is that students are going to compose an ostinato from scratch. Now I really like the idea of providing constraints for composition, because if you just say go compose something and you have an open array of choices in terms of rhythms and notes and so on, it can be really overwhelming. I find it overwhelming. So it's fantastic when there are some constraints applied to composition, I think. So what my thought was is that we have a random sequence of colours chosen, and they become the notes of the ostinato. So you could pick a number like 5 notes or 6 notes or 8 notes, whatever you want to choose for your students. Test it out and see what's going to work best. And the idea that I thought of course, Amy and I are big fans of Wheel of Names, which is a random wheel spinner, which allows you to choose things, and you can set this up any way you like with students' names on it, or something like this where you've got Songmaker colours. And I decided to stick with pentatonic again for this. So I've numbered the notes 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, being the notes of the pentatonic scale, and put the matching colours there. So in Wheel of Names, free spinner tool, you can click on the wheel, it's going to spin the wheel, and a number will be chosen, or a colour, I should say. So you'll do this the first time, maybe it comes up green, and so the student records that they got green. Then the same student's going to do it again, and they're going to say, okay, now I got number 1, and then they get orange, and then they get orange, and then they get yellow. And it's going to be a random sequence of colours, which they can then take over to Songmaker and put them in Songmaker in order, but the rhythm can be anything they like. Maybe the red one, is in bar 1, and then the next colour that they had was green, so they're going to put that in the same bar, maybe in the next bar, could be anything. But I would suggest that they stick to the colours that they got given in that order, because it gives them a little extra challenge here. So let's go across to Songmaker. Colours, yeah. So here's the wheel. So when you spin the wheel, I'm just going to close a couple of these other tabs as well. Oh yeah, I'm going to just keep that one open and show you that after. All right, so here's the wheel. So you click the wheel. And it's number 1, which is red. I was waiting for it to ding. There we go. Now, the reason I put a number on here is just it kind of needs to have something. You could actually put emoji symbols in here or something else if you want to, but I did stick with number 1 representing the red note in Songmaker. So that was my first note, and then I can do this again, choose the next colour in order, and it's going to be orange, so that's my second note, and so on. So I go through and I choose my 5 notes or my 6 notes or whatever you've chosen to do, and then I head across to Chrome Music Lab Songmaker. So I did this for myself the other day. So I got orange, orange, yellow, green, purple, red. And what I've done is use the same thing again over here. And yeah, it was interesting exercise to put these notes in and just get them to sound good. You can see I've got orange, orange, yellow, green, purple, red. They're not all evenly spaced. They're not all bunched up next to each other. I spread them out so that it made some kind of interesting rhythm. And it ended up working quite well. Again, pentatonic scale means that it's going to kind of sound good no matter what you do, which is a useful thing. Add a percussion part and so on. Now, the inspiration that I had for this one is actually seeing one of the YouTubers that I really love, Andrew Huang, has a fantastic channel. He sort of does music production stuff. He has a video, I should say, which I've linked to in the Wakelet collection, which is about composing with candy. So he has like, I can't remember which candy it is, but it's like Skittles. We have Skittles here, but I don't think it's that brand, something else. And he just like takes them out of the packet and randomly chooses 5 of these candies, which are different colors, puts them in order on his keyboard, and then he composes something, which sounds amazing because he's not just using Songmaker. But that video could be great inspiration if you want to play that for your students first, just as a sort of an intro thing. But then they can do this exercise in Songmaker. I'll tell you why this ended up being funny and complex with the wheel of names thing. When I was setting up the wheel, I realized so if you want to set up a wheel yourself and customize it, you go into customize up here, and then you can customize all sorts of things. You can customize what goes into the wheel, what colors are showing, what happens when it's spinning, and so on. Now, this is what I'll give you. This is the hint that I'll give you. Spin time in seconds. If I can't remember what it was, but if you have a spin time, like 7 seconds works really well when you've got 5 colors on your wheel. Originally, this was set to like, I think 10 seconds or so. And what kept happening, based on the number of segments in my wheel, I kept getting the same color every single time the wheel spun because of the number of segments in the wheel. I don't know if, Amy, you've noticed that before. If you have this when you're testing it out, reduce or increase the time that the spinner goes around, and then you'll be okay. Anyway, ridiculous the things you do. There you go. How are we going so far? Everyone good, I'm hoping? Good, Amy's giving thumbs up, yay. Okay, so ostinato number 4 idea is to do with words. And again, this is about taking out some of the, the overwhelm with composing, and again, giving some kind of constraints to work with. So the idea here is that, students brainstorm words that use the letters that are used for notes in our musical alphabet as such. So you take the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I'm sure lots of you have done this anyway with students, and they are going to just brainstorm any words that they can think of to make with those letters. They can use the same letter multiple times. So the word cabbage, for instance, works well. The word face or age or cab or anything. I mean, you've probably done this before in class. So if they come up with a list of words and then choose 2 or 3 words from the list, and then they're going to use those words to decode what notes match up with the letters and the colors, like I showed you earlier. I'll show you in a second what this is going to look like. And then they're going to compose a song using those notes in the order that have been in there, that were in those words. They can add some rhythms after that. And then other students, so if one student does their composition, other students in the class can then work backwards and guess what the words were that the student started with. So here again, members of the community, there will be this worksheet that you can use and adapt for your own purposes. But again, they can come up with, there's a key here, which gives you the list of letters, the list of numbers, and the colors as they work in Songmaker. They can brainstorm all their words in this box down here. Then they're going to choose 2 or 3 of the words, and they're going to write them in these boxes on the right-hand side and match up the numbers and the colors. I just thought that was they don't really need to as such, because the letters are going to be what they need for creating notes in Songmaker. But if the students need the colors to match up with it, it's really good if they can just pop that all here. I've got one example here just showing how that all works. So they're going to decode all of that first. And this is what that part of the worksheet might look like. So word 1, students here have chosen to do cabbage. They're going to fill out their word here. They're going to work out what numbers match up with those notes, and also what colors inside Songmaker match up with those as well. So the colors information is probably going to be the most useful for the students. They take it across to Songmaker and recreate it there. Let me just see, have I got this one for you? No, I haven't got that to show you. Anyway, you get the idea. Same sort of thing. So they'll recreate it in Songmaker, again, choosing what rhythm they like and create some kind of composition there. And I do like this idea of then other students working backwards, see if they can work out what the words were. Okay, another idea for an ostinato one is taking the 4-chord song, the 4-chord progression that's used in the Axis of Awesome film clip. And again, I know a lot of you have done this already with students. Listen to songs that students know with the chord progression 1, 5, 6, 4. You can play them the Axis of Awesome, the clean version YouTube clip, where all of those songs are played, a lot of the songs are played as a medley. Students can work through identifying the notes of each chord and so on, and then come across to Songmaker and recreate, first of all, just the bass line. Keep it really simple. Then maybe add chords above the bass line, and then maybe even go on to add a melody and percussion over the top. So let's just take a look at that. Let me just close these ones. So first step here is that they're just going to identify those chords and create the bass line in Songmaker. And you'll notice I've used just the bottom section for this so that I've got space above it to add other things like chords and a melody if I want to. So next progression after that, I've just got so far bass line and simple percussion part. Next one after that is maybe to add the chords. So this is useful for students learning about chords for the first time perhaps, and they're going to add the notes over the top. And again, they can decipher this maybe with a friend and add them in. They can then sing and play any number of songs over the top of that little backing that they've just made. But after that, they might write an original melody over the top. So for this version, I've actually varied it a little bit. If I go back to my previous version, you'll notice that the beats of each bar are just divided into one. It's like just 4 beats per bar. There's no division of the beat though. When you are doing this in Songmaker, if you're part the way through making something and you want to then increase the number of the subdivision, I should say, for each beat of the bar, you can actually do that without losing what you've already done here. So if I went into settings now and then decided instead of splitting beats into 1, I want to split them into 2 or maybe even 4, I can do that and click the plus button. And I won't lose anything. It's still all there. Now, I will say, though, if you do it the other way around, if you have lots of notes, the subdivision like this in the bar, and then you decide to make it smaller, there is a potential for losing notes. So if you get rid of parts of the bar in your Songmaker composition by changing the settings, if you have notes on those parts of the bar, then they will disappear. So increasing in Songmaker, adding more bars or adding a smaller subdivision of the beat or even adding octaves part the way through is fine. It works really well. So what I did was, I did do that. I divided the beat into 2 instead. So I kept my previous thing. I just added a bit more space for rhythm here and added a bit more of an interesting percussion part, and then I added a melody over the top. So that's a progression there which works really well. And then, of course, students can do other things to it after that. And I want to talk about that in a moment, about what else can we do with it after this point. Obviously, they can play it now and sing along, maybe make up some lyrics to go with their melody, or they can play the instrument along with it. But we could do even more than that. So let's just go back across here. So let's talk about going beyond Songmaker. And one great thing about Songmaker is that you have an option to download your composition in a couple of different formats. And this can work really well if you do want to add more to your track or take it further and maybe remix it in this case. So what you can do is save your Songmaker composition as a MIDI file and then open that MIDI file in another program. And again, this is one of my favorite things about technology, and often my test of whether a tool is any good, especially a free resource of some sort. What can I do with it afterwards? Where can I take this? How can I make this go further? So as soon as I saw the Songmaker for the very first time, the fact that there was a download as MIDI file option was really exciting. I was like, great, this is awesome. Then now we can do heaps with this. So you can take the MIDI file, open it up in Soundtrap, BandLab, GarageBand, any other digital audio workstation, and then add other things. And also you can change the sounds of what you had done in Songmaker. You can change the sounds or change the tempo or move it up and down an octave. You can do all of these things to edit your song and create something a little bit different. Also, in Soundtrap, BandLab, GarageBand, you can add effects, you can add maybe loops from the loop library, and you can add an audio track and record your own voice or instrument over the top. So I'll show you what this looks like. This is just a screenshot, but I will head over to Soundtrap in a second. I've used Soundtrap as my example. It works the same way in all of those other programs, the same principles. All right. Again, I'm going to get rid of tabs here. I feel like my computer's a lot happier now, so I've gotten rid of about 73 tabs. Okay, so this could be the 4-chord song that you just saw me do, but I actually took Ico Ico that I showed you earlier. So I took Ico Ico, I basically hit the save button, and then instead of copying the link on the save page, I chose to download the MIDI file, which is another one of the options on that same page. Then in Soundtrap, you open up a new Soundtrap project and you choose to make it a music project, and then you choose this import file option. In other programs, you may need to go to the file menu and choose import, and then just choose the MIDI file wherever it's saved on your computer. In most of the programs, you can also just drag the MIDI file into the program and it will just open up there. So the way this came through, this is the version where I've not done anything to it. This is exactly as it came through from Songmaker. What it's done is to put my percussion part on one track, and it's put all of the melodic material onto another track together. The sounds that have been chosen for these tracks are randomly chosen by Soundtrap, and this is what it sounds like. Do you not think that sounds like a carnival? I don't know. One of those carnival, I don't know what it's called. Some with a monkey on it. Anyway, it's totally random. And I think it may be different every time you open up the same MIDI file in Soundtrap. It'll just be whatever sound they happen to choose. So, hey, if I don't like those, it's okay. Oh, yes, that's it, Donna. Calliope. Is that how you say it? Calliope? Yes, that's the one. So in your digital audio workstation, you can choose to change the sound, the playback sound. It's awesome. So you can, for our Soundtrap, I can click here on the little instrument icon on the track, and then I can choose to click here and choose any one of the other hundreds of playback sounds that might sound better than that one, or just different. I actually quite like what they chose, but it's just kind of funny. So you can go through there and edit things. And the beauty of a MIDI file is that the MIDI file is literally just information that's triggering these sounds to play in Soundtrap or in BandLab or in GarageBand. And the information is malleable. You can change it. So, of course, you can change the tempo down the bottom here. I can make it faster. I can make it slower. I can even copy and paste this multiple times if I want to. I could add more notes to the end. I can open up the loop library and add a new track and so on. Lots of options. So here's one I did fiddle with a little bit ahead of time. What I ended up doing was I've got the percussion part here in orange. At the top is the melodic part, but I actually duplicated this top one and put it here. This is the green. So I duplicated that one at the top and put it onto this second track. And I actually took out of the green one, I took out all of the melodic notes apart from the bass line, because I wanted to have the bass line separate so that I could make it sound like a bass instrument and keep the top part as more of a melodic instrument. So this is what it sounds like. I can't even remember what I did to this, but I've increased the tempo a little bit and applied some different sounds. It still sounds a bit circus. Okay, so that's that. Then I put an audio track on and recorded some terrible vocals over the top. But anyway, I'll play it. I'll just play it. This was me doing it very fast with bad headphones and all sorts of things, but it's there. I use the words that appear in the TikTok version of this, not the words that I grew up with traditionally, but there you go. It's my bestie and your bestie, as opposed to my grandma, which I grew up with, my grandma and your grandma. So you add vocals, you can do all sorts of things. The possibilities really are endless from this point on, and it can be, again, a lot of fun. And I think Songmaker in this instance becomes a bit of a sketch pad. You can start your sketch out there with something really simple and then take it across to these programs, which do a lot more, and you can add more to it there. All right. Okay, I'm going better than I thought for time. This is good. All right, so nearly at the end here. The last couple of things I want to talk through, I won't show these in Songmaker, but just to talk through the concept. Again, we're talking going beyond just Songmaker here. But I love this idea of taking traditional notation. So maybe students have notated something outside of Songmaker, like actually written notation out, and then they're going to take that and recreate it in Songmaker. And in a moment, we'll talk about going the other way around as well. So the idea here is maybe it's just a rhythm that they start with. It could be obviously a whole melody as well, but that gets a bit more complex, but maybe just start with a rhythm, provide them with a rhythm in traditional notation, or students might make one up themselves. And then they're going to transfer that rhythm from traditional notation into grid notation so that it's closer to Songmaker. And then after that, they can then recreate that rhythm in Songmaker in the percussion lines. Again, still can do it also with a melody, but I'd probably start with a rhythm just to keep things simple. So here's, again, something that members of the community, you can get access to this as well. But here's one that I did as an example where I've got just a rhythm here, a couple of bars. I used the rhythm randomizer to generate a rhythm with the parameters that I wanted to, another free tech tool, and put the rhythm here in the worksheet. Then students are going to look at this rhythm and they're going to have to work out where to put the dots in this 2-bar grid. And I was in two minds about stretching this rhythm out so that it was the same width as the grid here. But then I thought, no, I think it's a bit more of a challenge, obviously. But they need to work out that this dot and this dot need to go here in the first section. And then here is the second, this dot here is going to go here for beat 2. Then they need to skip this spot here because beat 3 needs to happen here. So it's a little bit of a challenge. It's going to be beyond some very young students, but great to work up to. Then they're going to open up Chrome Music Lab Songmaker and copy the rhythm into the bottom percussion line. And again, this is a link here to a template that I set up ahead of time, which only has the 2 bars and it's just divided into 2 sounds per beat. And it's just a very simple template so that they're not overwhelmed with having to change all the settings themselves. Then they could add a melody over the top. That's always my next default thing. So when we go to looking at the progression, we've got the traditional notation into the Songmaker grid. It looks like this, and then adding a melody over the top, and you can see the rhythm right down the bottom there as well. Getting a little bit more complex again, you can do this maybe with older students, taking one rhythm like this, transferring it into the grid on a single line, and then maybe the variation for them is that they split that same rhythm over 2 parts here. So they choose some notes to be up and some notes to be down, and then recreate that in Songmaker using both of the percussion lines in Songmaker. Great effect there. Let's look the other way. So we've got Songmaker first. Maybe we create something in Songmaker and then take that through to traditional notation instead. So it starts off in a grid format and then they're going to head over to traditional notation. And one option for this, we talked about MIDI files before, about exporting the MIDI file and putting it into Soundtrack or BandLab or GarageBand. You can also do that with notation software too. So you can get students to download a MIDI file of their Songmaker composition and then open it up in Noteflight or Flash or Sibelius or Finale or whatever you use with students there. But if you want them to sort of do it completely from scratch, a great way to get them to sort of transfer it themselves. So I just use the same example. So they start off creating something in Songmaker, then they go and notate it themselves. And the melody part, I've made this melody here, and then what they could do is just notate the rhythm, or they might notate the entire melody as well. And again, it's a great challenge for students to work through that, because you've really got to visualize where the beats are and where the pitches are and so on. All right, let's talk, just to finish off with, I want to talk about sharing and displaying work. And there's a few great ways you can showcase student projects here. And the first way is, for years and years, I've been talking about using QR codes, and I've called it the singing wall in the past, where you can display student work, as in a screenshot of something that students have created in a music software program, and put a QR code, which when it's scanned will play back the audio file of whatever the creation is. Now, with Songmaker, oh my gosh, there's something so exciting I discovered, which makes this really easy. And the end result is going to look something like this. Now, instead of just having a plain screenshot and a boring QR code, I wanted to find a template to use that looked a little bit exciting. I started to make something myself, and then I thought, no, Slides Mania, one of my favorite websites for finding Google Slides and PowerPoint templates. Paula, who runs that site, has some fantastic, beautiful templates, much more creative than anything I've done, like this. And so what I did was take her, this template on her website. I think I've put it in the Wakelet collection. It's called audio slides or something like that. But basically, she's got, like, it's kind of retro now for this. I haven't put it in there. All right, I'll add it in a moment. But she's got this, it's kind of retro now for students, this old iPod. And what I did was add a screenshot into the iPod screen here. I typed in, she's got some glowing text in the template, so I typed the name of my track and the artist here. And then I added a QR code on the right-hand side so that you can print this out and put this on the walls of your classroom or on your bulletin board or down the hallways. And parents or visitors to the school or other students can scan the code and actually listen. If you're quick enough now, you could try and scan this through your computer screen. It should probably work. And you'll get a link to my iCode, be able to play it back on Songmaker. And it works really well on the phone, because once you've scanned it, it actually opens up Songmaker. You can hit the play button and you can even edit the file from there. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of cool. I'll move on to the next one, but this second one here is another one of Paula's Slides Mania templates. She's got one which looks kind of like a YouTube channel template, so I thought that would make a nice one too. Put the Songmaker screenshot there and add the QR code. Now, I want to talk about making this QR code, because, oh my gosh, do you want to see how easy this is? It's so brilliant. And this is all due to an update that Chrome has had in the last few whatever months. I'm just going to open up Songmaker again, because we haven't had enough of it yet today. Yeah, let's go here. So in Songmaker, what the students will do is create their thing, whatever it is. I'm just going to put some random notes in here so I've got something. So what they'll do is hit save when they've created their thing. Now, when you're on this page, this is the key. You're on the save page. It's not going to work on the previous screen. You need to be on the save page. What you'll do is come up the top here and click in the URL bar at the very top. And this makes extra little buttons appear. You need to be in Chrome to do this. And on the right-hand side is a QR code generator button. it won't. So when you're not, if you haven't clicked in the URL bar, you're not going to see it, but you need to click up there. You'll see this little button. Click on that, and the QR code is there and made for you. And you just hit download and you're done. How easy is that? How cool. When Chrome had this update and they added this QR code generator option in, basically that QR code function works on any web page you're on. It doesn't have to be Songmaker, any web page. So if I wanted to make a link to my own website, I visit my website, I click in the URL bar, I click this button, and I get a QR code made for me. And I just thought, when I was in Songmaker one day, I thought, wouldn't it be good if that function worked on the save page of Songmaker? And it does. So it's really brilliant, because in the past you would have had to have copied this link, open up a separate QR code website that generates QR codes, and then you paste it in, and then you download from there, and it's just like 3 extra steps. So students can do this themselves. They're going to hit download, and it will save a little PNG file that you can then print out or put into your poster or whatever. My advice is, as soon as it's downloaded, you must rename the QR code image file because you'll never find it again. But it's really good. So that's how I did this one, which goes to my name composition. That's how I did that previous one there. Now, if you need the instructions, I've actually written them out for you here in the slides that you can get a copy of. And I've also got a screenshot showing you with the instructions. So just in case you need to sort of capture that and the instructions there. So you need to be on the save screen. Don't forget that part. Click in the URL address bar, click the icon, and then download. Super easy. Who's excited about that? Is that cool? Well, I was so excited. Amy says yes, good. Because I need total validation as I'm running this webinar. All right, 2 more ideas for displaying your Songmaker compositions. Amy reminded me of this one. I've seen it a long time ago, but I totally forgot about. I must include that in the webinar. Some kind person, and oh my gosh, I forgot to look up their name. I'm so sorry. Whoever the person is that set this website up, it's a teacher somewhere. I feel like it's anyway, some teacher set up during lockdown last year, like COVID times, set up a website which you can use for free. This is a free service. You head to the Songmaker gallery and follow I won't go through the instructions. There's a YouTube video explaining what you need to do, but you can basically set up your own gallery of student compositions. And the way that you do this is to get all the links. You get your students' names and you get the links to each of their Songmaker compositions, and you put them into a CSV file, and then you upload that to this website, and it produces for you a gallery that looks like this. So this is just a screenshot, but basically each of these separate little pictures is different Songmaker compositions. When you hover your mouse over, like here, it shows you the student name, and then you can click on it, open it up, and play it straight away in there. So if you need to display a whole stack on a website, a whole class worth of stuff, you can have different groups there. It works really well. Really easy to follow the instructions. So I've just popped the basic outline there of what it is, but Songmaker gallery, really useful. Lastly, I will just let you know also that you can embed your Songmaker into a website. If you've got the option of whatever website you use, it might be your school LMS or Google Sites, and that's one I'm going to show you here. If you've got the option of editing a website and being able to put embed code in, it's really easy. On that save page for the Songmaker, instead of downloading something or copying the link, you'll actually copy embed code and then paste it into your Google site. So in the edit view, you'll paste the embed code in. And when you save that or publish it, this is what it ends up looking like. So I've just formatted it so that the Songmaker composition shows on the left, and I've got some text on the right showing, who this is and what it was that they did. But in your website, see this, there's a little play button at the bottom. The person visiting the website can actually hit play and play back the composition right inside the website. It doesn't take them out to Songmaker. It actually plays in your website. So it works really well. They can also hit the edit button and they will get their own version of, the thing to play with in Songmaker themselves if they want to. So you'll go to the save page in Songmaker, copy the embed code, paste it into your website. And as I mentioned, it works really well with Google Slides and the sites, I should say, and other websites. All right, that's all of the things. So if you want more ideas and if you would like access to those resources that I mentioned, I do want to show, just for members who might be watching, this planning template. And if you're new to my webinars in general, I have a paid community where there's a lot more tutorials, full courses. Amy's in there. We are in a forum every day answering questions about music tech related things. And we have about just under 1,000 teachers who are members of the community who access courses and so on. So extra resources I create for members of the community, and it's lots of fun. Sometimes people ask me, what's the difference between like me helping people on Facebook or in these webinars and so on, but really it's about where I spend most of my love, not most of it, I should say. My immense love is for the members of the community, and that's where I do spend a lot of time. I got to this point a few years ago where I just could not help people out via email anymore. It was just too overwhelming, to be honest. So many questions all the time, and I really hate not helping people. So having the community works really well because we have a forum, and then everyone can ask questions that everyone else can chime in and answer or share information with each other. And I like to make videos. Amy does too. We often make a video answer for you. So if you've got a question, I find it easier to answer in a video and actually show you on the screen how to fix the problem that you're having or whatever it is. So anyway, this template is one of the things I'll be uploading for the members in the next day or two. And you can see here, I started out, and for those that might want to make something themselves, I just thought it would be useful to have this sort of analog worksheet type thing to go with the Songmaker. So I took screenshots from the Songmaker screen just to retain the formatting. This is what I actually started with. So what I thought would be useful is to have like the melodic portion of Songmaker where students can plan away from the screen. They can actually plan what their composition is going to be. And I've divided it, there's the low notes and the high notes and the percussion notes down the bottom. And the problem that I ran into is that I didn't know where to stop with versions of this, because this one is pentatonic, 2 octaves, 2 bars in length, split the beats into 4 and split the, 4 bars and split the beats into 2. And then I thought, well, I'll make another one, which is the same thing, but it's 3 octaves in total. And then I'll make another one, which is the same thing, but it's 4 bars and they're split up into 2. And then I'll make another one, which is like the same thing, but the beats are split up further. And then I thought, well, we need the major version as well. And then I thought, this is ridiculous. I can't possibly do every iteration. So if you are a member and you get access to this template, you can just copy one of these and delete the screenshot and put a new one in based on how many bars you need, how many octaves and so on. You get the idea. Anyway, so that was me deciding to do something simple and then it taking like 2 hours, and that was silly. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now for a moment and go back here. I'll put us both on, Amy. Here we go. Great. All right. So how did everyone go? Oh, you're muted. Hang on. Do I need to unmute you? Yes. Can't unmute. Oh, you need to unmute yourself. It says. There we go.
There we go. So you blew their minds with the QR code in the URL.
Yeah, I knew that would be the good one. I knew it. I knew it. I was going to show it at the beginning of the webinar. I'm like, no, hold on.
I'm sure I have some questions for you. I also want to share this Kandinsky, because there's no way in Kandinsky that you can just get that link that you're doing in Songmaker. It's over in our chat right now. I just want to clarify that, like, you can't. You have to screen record. But when you do, I did this incredible project that I'm just going to throw in there. But I have some questions for you. First of all, Katie, I can't remember off the top of my head. I know you shared the slides. Do you share the chat? People would like to know that.
Yes, we have a page set up on my website afterwards. It will be like tomorrow or the next day, depending on what time zone you're in. But on that page, we have the video at the top of the page, and underneath you'll see the link to download the slides and we usually include the chat there as well, like a transcript. It's like pages long, but you'll see it there. And you can do find, Control F or Command F to search it if you're looking for something specific that you remember was discussed. That's a useful thing. And then we'll have the link to the PD certificate there too.
It is coming. Hold
I
on
will
one second. Yep, doing it right now. Here it comes. I always want to make sure it's the correct link.
Did you find the Slides Mania link already? Because I will look that up while we're
Slides.
talking.
No, Slides Mania. I put it over. Jenny put it here, but I put it over on the YouTube because that was being asked over on YouTube.
Okay, yeah, I could see it being asked about there. I'll just pop that PD certificate link in as well in the top of the chat. Yeah. So yes, test that QR code thing just generally, like not just for Songmaker, but test it out wherever you are. That's my advice, is just to see what works, because I knew it was there and I was using it for other websites, and I was like, I wonder if just one of those things where you go, oh my gosh, yes. It was just I was just kind of so excited when it happened. Okay, at the top I've just added the PD certificate link.
Perfect.
Well. Yeah.
So to clarify, just for those who are watching, to get the worksheets that Katie is showing, you need to be a member. And Katie has a great special going on right now that we have I have been putting through the chat continuously. You want that's my YouTube. Hold on. You want those worksheets. You really do. So do what this is. It's a great 29-month or $290 a year, short time only Black Friday special sale. And this is going to end Monday after Black Friday, I'm assuming, Katie.
Yes, correct. Yeah. I wrote something really fast.
You want to do that. I've been throwing that in the chat every time she throws up a worksheet, because you don't get the worksheets. You'll get the slides. You'll get the chat.
And at least everyone here, for free, you'll get all of the outlines of everything because it's in the slides here. But the bonus stuff, I've got to say something good for the community members. So I'll just share my screen again for a second and just show you here. Oh, we're both in the bottom there, look. So in the community, I'll just, for members who, will log in the next couple of days, there's a dashboard where you first head in there, and we've got all the main links to the different parts of the community here. But, I'm going to have it up. I might have it up later today, so it might not be too long. What we'll do is set up, it'll be like a course inside. It will look like one of the courses. So it's in the training library section. You'll go over to there. It's not there right now. Well, it is, but it's hidden. And then it will be, oh, look, it's coming soon. There we go. I did put it there as a sort of a draft version. So you'll see this go live as soon as we've added all the bits and pieces to it. And in there, you'll see that there is, have I got it open here? Oh, yeah, I do. This is what it will look like. I can view it because I'm logged in as administrator. But the video will be on this first tab here on the right. I will put the planning templates. That's that kind of planning slides document. I'll put that there on the second tab. I'm going to see, I don't know if it'll work, but I'm going to see if I can save the Google Slides version as PowerPoint. Sometimes it works really well doing that, and other times it's a total failure, so I'll just see how it goes. But at the very least, there will be the slides version, which you can edit and use, and you can remove things and change the text and so on. And I will also have another section at the bottom here, which will be other lesson resources like the song color, what do you call it? The colors, the colored dots and stuff. I've set up a Google slide which shows you, let me just show you here. I've got all of these different ones here. So mysteries, no, what was it? The colors one. Where's the colors one? Oh, the one highlighted, silly me. So there will be a copy of this slides document as well, where you've got my example kind of version here, and it's taking a while to load here, but I've got a second slide which just has the circles and the squares, so that then you can take those. They're all in the correct Boommaker and Songmaker colors. You can take those and you can make your own mystery song, you might need to reformat and so on. But the idea with all of these templates is I just thought I'll make a version and then they're going to be something that you can adjust and move around and customize, because it will really depend on what you're doing with your students. But hopefully that makes sense. So everything that you can see in this list here will go into that training spot in the community, and then you can access it. And yeah, we'd love to have you join us. If you're not currently a member and you'd love to join us, feel free to come over. And once you log in, let me just go back here for a second. Once you log in, you can see these links up the top. There's the community section. This is like a forum. So instead of necessarily asking your question that you might ask on Facebook normally, you can ask it in here. And this is where Amy and I will answer all of the questions, often with a video. And yeah, we have some really fun, interesting discussions in there as well, like philosophical about music and education and technology and so on. But yeah, do join us over there. It is good fun. Let me go back to us on the screen. Here we go. Great. Oh, Jamie says, I'm happy you're already a member. I am too. I'm happy you're already a member too. Yeah. I wanted to have everything in there before the webinar. I tried so hard. Oh my gosh. But you know what happens? Things just, So I got halfway there, but yeah, I'll finish that off tonight and it will be all ready. Lots of fun. Well, I hope you enjoyed Songmaker.
We have some questions.
I had so much fun with it. It's such a ridiculously simple tool, and yet so much you can do with it, I think. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Well,
yes.
We have some questions. Would you like to answer some questions?
Please.
All right. So this goes back to your name project. I'm going to start like from your beginning and bring it up. So would you keep this activity to 2 measures?
I chose to only because I wanted to keep it super simple. But I think with different age groups, you could either make the decision for the students, just have it set up, or make it longer. And if it's only going to be 2 measures, you do need to make sure that the beat is divided up a little bit. Because, and this is so ridiculous, but when you're writing your name or drawing your picture, obviously the more space the smaller the grid size, the better detail you can get in your picture or your name. And so with my name's 5 letters, so it works quite well. There are going to be some students in your class that have 8 letters, 10 letters in their name. They're going to need more real estate perhaps. And look, if they start the project and go, I've run out of room, I can't possibly draw my name here, they can go into the settings and add bars at the end. And for this composition, it really doesn't matter, I don't reckon, musically, how many bars it is. It could be a weird number, to be honest. I also thought there are going to be some students who have very short names, maybe even 2 letters or 3 letters. And in those cases, you might say to them, do your first name plus your initials, middle name and surname initials, or part of your surname or your whole surname. It could really be varied. But yeah, pictures is the other thing. Get them to draw a picture, but you've got to be kind of careful about that. And we all know where that could go. So yeah.
So this question's from Doug and is, would you ever pre-compose a rhythm track for the students in Songmaker and have them just concern themselves with drawing their names, which I've done?
Yeah, you totally could. Yeah, I tend to leave that out mainly because the percussion parts in Songmaker are so simple and you can't really go wrong with it. So it's not that they could just click randomly and it will probably still sound good. I didn't show it, but also one of the things that I do with Songmaker and actually in programs like Soundtrack or BandLab is get the students to put on beat 2 and 4 the sound at the top. So it's the clap or the snare drum sound essentially. So on beat 2 and 4 throughout their whole thing. And then add the bass drum sound, put one at the very start, but then put it randomly through the rest of the piece, like leave some gaps and stuff. And if you go really randomly with that, it sounds really good as long as that snare is on the 2 and 4 or the clap on the 2 and 4. I don't know. It's a really good effect. But yeah, I don't reckon they can go too wrong with the rhythm. There might just be the thing where they just fill in every single sound because I think a number of kids do that to start with. Fill in every box of every colour at the top.
Yes.
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 Encourage some space in there.
It's like a Tetris game. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Deborah asked the suggested grade level for using Wellerman. I said, because that's like the dotted eighths followed by 16ths.
Yeah, yeah.
Fourth grade, where I am, fourth grade would be the youngest I would do that. But what would you suggest?
I was going to say middle school, so that would probably match up with what you were thinking. Yeah, and I think also how well do they know the song as well? Like, I would safely say most students are going to know that song. Like, it's been overused for many months now, which is not a bad thing when you want them to do something like this with it. Knowing the song really well is useful. So, yeah, so I think probably then. And with the ones who are less experienced, I hesitate to say younger because honestly, saying younger, it's not like young students necessarily can't do certain things, but generally speaking, less experienced students, I would just provide more for them. They're filling in less gaps, and then you take more away as they get older or they're more experienced, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. Maureen was wondering how you made the Boomwhacker color slide. And I said, you either did that in Google Slide or Canva. And then I said, probably Canva.
No, I actually did it in Keynote first, and then I remade it in Google Slides. And do you want to know the trick? Because I have to make everything match precisely to the correct colors from Songmaker. So I opened up Songmaker. I put one note of each color. I turned them on randomly on the page, and then I used that Chrome extension, the dropper. What is it called? Color. Anyway, chose the color from the page to make sure it matched. And actually, for the community members, I've got a document where I've given you the hex codes for all of those colors just done, because I thought I may as well just put it in the document. And then you can recreate them. Yeah, you can recreate them yourself if you need to in Slides or Keynote or PowerPoint, whatever you're using.
Eyedropper.
It's the one. Yeah, Colorzilla. That's the name of the Chrome extension.
Oh, I have eyedropper. Oh, okay. Yeah. It's not eyedropper. All right. Oh, Colorzilla. Okay.
Colorzilla, yeah. It's a favorite of mine. It's probably one of my most used Chrome extensions, actually.
Yeah. Here's another question for you. This one is Patricia, how did you set up the big circle puzzle?
The Wheel of Names? Is it
no, this came before the Wheel of Names.
Okay.
I'm wondering if it's the same thing that Maureen was asking. Maybe she meant the I got it down. It might have been the Boomwhacker colors. It might have been that. It might have been the same thing.
This one here?
What slide did you have after that?
Go back here.
Because I'm wondering if that's a big So I thought Big Circle Pizza, you must have been doing something in the shape puzzle. Big Circle Puzzle, you must have been doing, but maybe she meant that. No, it's definitely before that. So it must have been that, and I just didn't catch that. That's what she was doing.
There was that one where I incorporated the colors. This was the first color kind of one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. Each of these in Slides or Keynote or PowerPoint, you would just add a shape, which is a circle. Make sure it's got no border. Edit the color to match precisely
So, question, Katie, how long is your Wakelet to be available? Dustin was curious.
Always, forever.
Yeah, as long as at least a few months. I'm not sure if she changes it, to be honest.
I don't know. It'll be just there. It'll just be there. I will. I'll add a couple of links in there. There wasn't a lot to add in for today. Some webinars I have heaps of links, but today's one was quite minimal. So I did put the Andrew Huang video in there. I will add the actual links to the Slides Mania templates, the two that I mentioned. I think other things are pretty much there anyway.
People love the rounds, by the way. They love the rounds. They loved it.
I was like, wow, this works so well. It's funny when you're doing it though, like it's because there's no reference of like a staff or bar lines really. I mean, there kind of is bar lines, but I don't know. But it's good because what I worked out for that one, as long as your students are capable, obviously, because if you provide them with the round in the first place, then when they're putting voice 2 in, they're just copying your work. So they're not having to start from scratch, which is quite difficult for some students, you know. So they are replicating, but it's quite tricky because they have to work out, oh, that note's already there in voice 1.
Yes.
And so they don't need to add it a second time in voice 2. It's an overlapping note. So they just leave the first one there and then move on to the next part of the melody. I did have a version, I didn't show it today, but I did have a version also where I made sure there was enough, that you can have a maximum of 3 octaves. And I put voice 1 in one of the octaves and then voice 2 in the lower octave. And that's a little bit easier because you can see clearly the 2 parts. But with Viva la Musica, I couldn't do it because the melody goes down to the B below the C. So you can't do it down the bottom octave because there's no B below the C. There's just C.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, I'll just leave it in the same octave. It's fine. Anyway, it was good fun.
So let's jump to Songmaker's mic input. This is from Deb.
Yes.
So when you're using the mic input, it isn't in real time. Now, while you were doing this, I was sitting there playing with it. Yeah. So you want to know, so when you're using the mic input, it isn't in real time.
It is in real time. I should have said that word actually, because that's a really good way to describe it. And if you've ever used notation or digital audio workstation software, the terminology is step time input. So you're choosing a note by whichever method, in this case singing or playing, and then you're telling where the rhythm is going to go. You're telling the software or the program where the rhythm's going to go. Yeah, and it's quite good. You can get quite quick if you can picture the notation in your head, which is what I do when I'm doing it. I can move quite quickly through a piece, putting it in that way. Obviously, you need to sing in tune. Oh, and here's the other thing. If your dog barks in the background or someone talks or something, comes into the room and something, it goes, oh, that's a note. That's totally a note. And puts it in, and you're like, no, that is my dog.
So that brings me to next question from Arwen. If you have multiple students using the mic, will it have difficulty picking up the one student? Yes. Will the mic get confused with surrounding voices? And I said, totally yes. Like students using this in my classroom, this is a challenge.
Yeah, it would be really hard. You would need to separate them, or they take turns, or it's a group thing and one person only. Yeah. And look, this just might not be a thing that's any use to you whatsoever.
but it's good to know it's there. Yeah.
But it's good to know it's there. And it's great to experiment with. I reckon it would work. I was actually picturing, like, most of us are not in remote learning at the moment, fingers crossed at least. I mean, some people might be in and out of it. So it would be a great remote learning activity where you are at home, you've got quiet space to work in, and you can just give it a go then. Homework task maybe. Yeah.
That was basically it. The other questions were just kind of like, will the chat be saved? How do I get the worksheets? The worksheets are huge. How do I get the worksheets? When are you going to send the slideshow? When does the slideshow come? So a lot of people honestly just loving the webinar and wanting to make sure that when they revisit it next week, they know what they're talking about. So I totally get it. Like they want to see those slides again, or they want to look at the chat again. Because his ideas were amazing.
Yeah, it's the ideas. Yeah, we haven't done it in the past, but I was thinking, so all the webinars live on YouTube. So if you missed one and you are not on the list where you get sent the replay link, so if you sign up to the webinar ahead of the day, you'll get a follow-up email which says, hey, here's the link to the replay. If you didn't sign up in time, if you just joined in last minute, then you may not get that link sent to you in the email. So what you can do is go to YouTube. At the moment, the video is unlisted because we were having so many problems with the chat being overrun by spam. I will make it a listed video after we're done now. And so you'll be able to pop in and just see it anytime on the channel. And what we'll try and do, we haven't done this in the past, but I'll try and add in the description the link to the page where all of those other things are, the slides, the chat, whatever else, just so that it's there and people can go across and stuff. So yeah, that should work well.
If I missed your question and you're still on, please throw it right now into the chat, either YouTube or if you're here with us on midnightmusic.com, and we will see it and Katie will answer it.
Thank you. And thank you for all the lovely comments, everyone. I did see you all saying thank you and I've got to go and all that. So thank you. Yes. And that Star Wars lesson, the full version of that is on the blog on my website. So yeah, we'll just make sure that you can access it actually in the Wake Up collection too. Yeah, it's good. Yay! So good to see everyone again. I feel I've been really out of touch with everything. I was saying earlier on, I tested positive for COVID a couple of weeks ago. Well, 2 weeks ago exactly, to be precise. And I've literally been in the house, not allowed to leave the house at all for 2 weeks. And it's the weirdest thing. Even in lockdown, you could go out for exercise. So I feel like it's nice connecting with some people, even though you are all online. It's been really good just connecting with some people and seeing faces and stuff together. Yes, Jean, you should go to sleep. Laura, that's a nice question. Do I have a preference which channel? No, it doesn't matter. If you
I
go
answered
to the midnight
it.
Oh, did you?
I answered at midnight because we got hit with that spam on YouTube.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Just generally, for the webinar. Yeah, but we've counteracted the spam thing now because each time I'm just making them unlisted. It's just easier. Because the reason that it happens is if your video is not unlisted, it's public, and it's an upcoming live event, it shows to everyone randomly on YouTube in the world. And people, I think because mine is it's music education, but I think it pops up for people as music. And therefore, everyone sees it who's not an educator at all, and they're all popping in going, yeah, cool beats, bro. It's like it's nothing to do with anything. Oh my gosh. We don't want, and there's been a lot of bad comments,
There was one time I was like, someone block this. I can't look at this chat anymore. I think we had like Katrina on or something. One of her
we
had someone on that we like made one of the great people in your community. We made them go and like shut down the chat.
Shut it down. Oh my gosh, yes. We were blushing. It was terrible. Terry. Oh, Canva course, yes. Thank you, Terry. Terry says renewing this month. Excellent. Oh, so happy. Yeah, it's been fun. I have so many plans for things I want to add into the community in the next little while. Soundtrap and Band Lab lessons are the next top thing on my list, but also We Video. I want to add We Video into that video course that I've already got, add version of that. Yeah. They're my top ones, but but I'm going to get planning happening for next year and recruit extra people like Amy to make stuff so that we get more done, because it's so hard to just do all the things. Great. Thank you, Laura. It's nice. You're my fave too, even though we've never met yet. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Hopefully in real life soon. Oh man, I won't get to the States until 2023, I think, at the earliest. But anyway, I'll be living vicariously through your Texas things. Yeah, I can't in Texas next year would just not be an option at all. But anyway, maybe the year after. We've hardly had our borders open. I don't even know if we can still come back to the country without quarantine. I don't even know what the rules are. It's all too hard. It's way too hard. Yeah. And I'm just picturing the madness. Like, it's already not that easy to go through all of the like security and different international airports, and you've got to find your way from one gate to another and go through security like 5 times and show your passport and all this. I'm already picturing what's it going to be like with COVID restrictions and having to show proof of vaccination. I don't know. Yeah. It's just all too hard.
Yeah.
Laurie, thank you. That's the loveliest compliment. Laurie, who said I can implement ideas tomorrow. That's always my aim, is often that, just things that you can do tomorrow. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for the lovely comments. I am still reading them on here. Do go if you need to go. It's getting very late for some of you. For me, it's lunchtime, so it's not too bad. And I'm looking forward to fresh air later today, but it's not raining. This is a good thing. Yay.
So, Katie, I found out today that my book was it made finalist in like American Best Book Awards in
Oh
the
my
category of
gosh.
education. It didn't win, which was fine, but it was one of the
Oh my
finalists.
God.
And it's also a finalist for the BETT Award.
Oh,
And
that's a
that,
great one. Have
yeah,
you
that
ever
one,
been to that? So this is the British Education Technology, I don't know what it stands for, something.
yes, and
I've
it's
never
up for
been,
a
and
finalist.
I really want to go to that. That's amazing.
Well, that's in
Congratulations.
London in January. So I
Yes,
wrote them
I
and I
know.
was like, I can't get to London in January. So should I
No,
just take off, take a, just eliminate me? And they're like, oh no, you don't have to be there. So I have to do a
it would be
4-minute.
nice.
I'm being honest, like I know it's gonna eliminate me, but because I'm not buying a ticket, it's gonna be obvious that I didn't go.
Oh,
But I
no,
am going to do
surely.
my 4-minute pitch. I'm going to do just the best I can do. And,
Oh,
but I really,
wow.
I like, when it sounds trite, but it's not at all. It's like, it's such an honor to be like a finalist in
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
in those two categories. So it's
Just
really, that's
recognition, I
really
think.
cool.
And you must check out Amy's book. We have talked about it a number of times, but she's got a fantastic book which talks all about integrating technology with the teaching approaches that a lot of you use, like code
What's that
ID.
book?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've probably got a copy somewhere. Oh, yeah, I can totally see it.
Yeah, the dog's chewing on it right now.
Like pulling it. Oh my gosh, that's just great news. I love those awards. I got an award a number of years ago, and another friend who got the same award, he's like, yeah, but it's just, that award. And I was like, no, I feel honored with any award. It's just nice to have recognition. I mean, it shouldn't matter, but it is really nice too, because all of us go through life just doing so much hard work, and there's not always a lot of recognition for everything, and it is nice to get just something.
Yeah. And writing a book, it's like it takes up so
I need
much
to
of
do
your
it,
life. It takes up so much of your life.
This is why I'm procrastinating on actually trying to submit an idea and getting it published, because I'm like, I know how much work it's going to be and how much time it's going to take, and in my head I really do want to do that at some point, but man, it's going to be a lot. So
yeah, it's so much.
And
so like that's the thing.
Baby.
Yeah, it is. And that's the thing, like I don't care, like to get to the finalists, I don't care it didn't win, like to get to the finalists makes it like, because that book was good, and it was like a heart and soul of that book, and like getting Glennis and Missy and Cherie and Ardith on it as well. It's like,
absolutely.
I wrote them all this evening. I was like, hey, guess what? And Missy's like, I'll go to London for that. Like, great, I'll send you.
She would too. Oh, I would love to. Yeah, I'd like to get to bet at some point. It would be great to do, maybe when my kids have finished school, but great to do like a sequence of bet it's January, isn't it? And then go to there's an EdTech conference in Texas usually just before TMEA.
It's right in the area. It's like right there too.
Yeah, right there.
I guess sort of in the area.
Go there and then do Texas conference like TMEA, and then come to New Jersey maybe and do that. Yeah, could do a whole sequence. And there's Ohio in there as well, isn't there? That's before TMEA maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, it's so great. Oh, thanks everyone. All right, we should stop and stop. Oh, TMEA. Yeah, TMEA is usually San Antonio. Oh my gosh, come along. That would be brilliant.
Jen, you don't have the book. Jen, next time I see you, I'll just bring you a copy. Don't have someone buy you that. I'll get it for you. Just let's meet up in Somerville again. I'll get it for you.
I'm so jealous that you two can meet up with each other. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Yeah, it was fun. We went right down to Somerville. I guess it's a halfway point, sort of. I don't know. I think she went further.
All right, everyone, I'm going to sign off, and thank you so much, everyone, for coming along. There will probably very unlikely be a webinar next month. I'm just going to give myself some space, but come the new year, yes, there will be something. I'm also tossing up what else I might be doing in January. It could be a time where there's, I don't know, I haven't decided yet. I was thinking either a new challenge, but I think that's going to be too much work, or running the video course again with Wii video instructions as well for those that want to do it along with a group. Anyway, that could be good. Something like that. All right. Thank you again, Amy. And I will see you again soon. Well, we'll see in a moment, but I'll leave the broadcast. Thanks, everyone. And thanks for putting up with the tech difficulties near the beginning. I'm glad we got it sorted out.
Okay.
My lesson learned once again. Don't forget the pre-flight checklist.